Hey guys, in today's video, we're going over all the ways that you can expand your HX Stomp. So the HX Stomp is a phenomenal device, but you only get 3 buttons for your main controls. However, you can expand on that in multiple different ways for not a lot of money and still keep it very portable. There's so many things you can do when you customize your HX Stomp with these add-ons, and it will definitely make your HX Stomp work more in the way that you want it to. So we're going to go over some small changes that you can do, some very portable ones, up to some much larger ones if you really want to go all out and really have control over your HX Stomp. Also, all these tips will apply to the HX Stomp XL, as well as, Helix and Helix LT and Helix Rack. So if you really want to expand on even those units, you definitely can do that with these techniques. Also, during this video, I will be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers for one of these add-ons, so be sure to stick around to find out how you can win one of these. Before we get started, this is a music tech channel. Gear reviews, tutorials, programming. I do gear giveaways on this channel. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, don't forget to subscribe, and hitting the thumbs up button is a free way to support the channel. All right, let's get started on expanding your HX Stomp. All right, so this is everything that I'm going to go over in this video. Obviously, there are more options out there than this. These are just the ones that I use. And going over this video, you can do this with different gear as long as you understand the concepts. So the first thing I recommend is to get one of these little 2-button expression foot switches. You can get a single one if you want, but I mean, you get 2 out of the HX Stomp, so you might as well use it. Unless if you want an expression pedal, which I'm going to get to here in a little bit. So this is the TT2 pedal. This has been the one that I've used for the longest time. And this is the Ampero Switch, which I did a dedicated video on. This one's cheaper. They both do the same thing though. You plug in a TRS cable on the top. You do have to make sure that it's TRS if you are going to use it with a 2-button foot switch. Otherwise it won't work because you only have 1 input in here. So if you use a TS cable, it will not work with this 2-button foot switch. But now with this, you have 2 extra buttons out of the HX Stomp. By the way, this is what I will be doing the giveaway for. I'm going to be giving away this with the TRS cable to one of my subscribers. It's a great pedal. I just don't use it. I use this one, and I'd rather give back to you guys. So basically what this does is now you have foot switch 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the way that I have this set up, and this is the way that I perform with my HX Stomp, is I leave it in snapshot mode. So I have snapshot 1, 2, and 3. If you don't know about snapshots, that's phenomenal. You should definitely learn about it. I have a dedicated video for that. This one I have is a boost, and you can see here what it does is on the output, it'll boost the level by 5 decibels on this one. That's quite a bit, actually. Most of the time, I have it set, like on this one, it just boosts by 4. So that's my boost. So no matter what snapshot I'm on, so if I'm on, usually it's clean, overdrive, and then more distortion, I can get a boost no matter what with that one. And then this one I have is a tap tempo / tuner. So if I hold it, it'll load my tuner and I can tune my guitar, or I can tap in the tempo of the song if I'm using delay. That's how I have it set up. However, I'm going to show you how to program this. So you want to go to your global settings to set this up. You need to tell the HX Stomp what you are plugging into the expression. So push these 2 buttons, scroll over, and go to global settings. Now there's 2 things that you need to do. First, you need to go over to preferences, scroll over, and you're going to see expression / FS tip and ring. But since I'm using a TRS cable, that's tip and ring together. So this is whatever tip is and this is what ring is. So if you are using a cable like this, but whatever is plugged in to the tip and whatever is plugged into the ring, how do you want it to operate? Do you want it to be an expression, which is what we're going to go over when we start talking about expression pedals, or do you want it to act like a foot switch? The second one, do you want it to be expression 2 or foot switch? Since I'm using 2 buttons, I want this to be set to foot switch. Both of these should be set to foot switch 4, foot switch 5. Just FYI, if like when you push the button, it's not working the way you want it to, you can flip the polarity. So if the tip one, again, foot switch 4 isn't working properly and it's like inverted, you can invert it, and same with the ring polarity. Most of the time you don't have to do that though, especially with a foot switch. And then you want to scroll over to the foot switches menu. This is where you're going to assign how do you want foot switch 4 to act and how do you want foot switch 5 to act. So you can see I have foot switch 5 is my tap / tuner. So again, when I hold this button, it'll go to my tuner. And then I have foot switch 4 set to stomp 4. So basically in the same way that you assign foot switch 1, foot switch 2, and foot switch 3, I now have control over foot switch 4 and I can program that how I want to. But you have a couple of other options. Everything in foot switch 4 you also have in foot switch 5. So I'm just going to demo this on foot switch 4. So you can set it to tap tuner. You can set it to stomp 4, which again, I'll show you more of how you can do that. You can always have it be bank up or bank down. You can always have it be preset up or preset down. So if I had that on preset up, that means every time I push this button, it's going to preset up, which can be nice. So you can have preset up and preset down is an option that you can do. Snapshot up or snapshot down. So you can see I'm on snapshot 1. If I push this, now it goes to snapshot 2 and then to snapshot 3. That can be very helpful if I'm in like, let's go to one that has, if I'm in like this mode right here. So if I want to turn on and off my drive, turn on and off my reverb and stuff like that. But now I want to scroll through the snapshots, snapshot 1, snapshot 2, and snapshot 3. I have that as an option as well now with that. Foot switch mode, this was one of my favorite ones. So you know how you have foot switch mode, and then you have preset up and down mode, and then choosing different banks, and then snapshot mode. Now it scrolls through those. So that can be really helpful by having that. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to go to snapshot 2, push this button, and then I'm going to turn on my drive and my reverb in that snapshot, and then go back to snapshot 3 or something like that. So you can set these to like foot switch mode this way, left. It says up and down, but I think of it as left and right. So that can be really helpful as well. So foot switch mode up or foot switch mode down, all bypass and toggle expression. Toggle expression is pretty much unnecessary. So when I push it, it switches between expression 1 and expression 2. I don't see a point to that. If you see a point to that, let me know. And this is an all bypass. This is just DSP bypass and then press any switch. I don't think most of you will need to do that. So again, if you want to use bank up or bank down, preset up, preset down, snapshot up or snapshot down, or foot switch mode up or down, that can be very helpful. However, I'm going to set this to stomp 4 for right now. So you can see right now I have my drive, my reverb, and my delay currently set up, and I can turn those on or off here as I want to. But I have other blocks in here. I have the optical trem in here. What if I want to assign that? If you haven't seen my video on how to assign blocks, I go over that in detail if you want to know more. So if you're pretty new to Helix, I would check that out. But basically what you do is you push these 2 buttons, hit bypass assign. Now I can 2 options. I can set the switch. I can say I want it to be foot switch 4, which again is this one, or I can do foot switch 5 or expression pedals. I'm going to set it to foot switch 4. Latching or momentary. So latching means it will turn on when I push it and then turn off when I push it. Momentary means when I press it, it'll turn on, and then when I let go, it'll turn it back off, or vice versa, depending on how you have it set up. But you also have another option where you can scroll over here. You do have MIDI, which I'll get to here in a minute, but you can just say learn. This is one of the best things about the Helix. You say learn, and now it's waiting for a command. I'm going to push this button, and now it has assigned. You can see it's assigned foot switch 4. Turn it on, turn it off. So that's how you can use this 2-button foot switch. And again, so if they both work great, I've gigged with both of them. And again, this will be the one that I will be doing a giveaway to one of my subscribers for. And again, you can assign foot switch 5 to whatever you want. So everything that I just showed you on foot switch 4, you can also assign to foot switch 5. I personally have just decided to use that as my tap tempo and tuner. So that's how you can get 2 extra buttons out of your HX Stomp. Okay, so the next option that you have with the expression input is instead of using expression buttons, you can use something like a expression pedal like this. So this is the cheapest one on Amazon that I could find. I did a whole review on that if you are interested in checking that out. They do have this one, which is a passive one, and that does seem to work with the HX Stomp, but they do also have an active one that requires power, and it works. This thing also works really well as just a standalone volume pedal as well. Pretty cool little device, so check out that video if you're interested in checking it out. Also, just FYI, you can get a TRS to tip and ring TS cable, and what you can do is you can plug one end into the expression pedal, and then another one, let's just say, you know, this was just one button right here. So into like a single button foot switch. You can do that. That was actually how I first started using this. This was my fly rig for a show that we did in Texas a while back, and it worked great. So I will link down below to single button foot switches if you want. Because remember, you only get 2 expressions. You only get 2 extra foot switches to assign. You can either use 2 buttons, 2 expression pedals, or 1 button and 1 expression pedal. So just keep that in mind. So remember, we do have to go into our global settings, and we need to assign our preference. What is the tip and the ring? Again, with TRS, that's both of them. And I will address that here in a minute, but are they going to be expression pedals or are they going to be foot switches? So let's just say I have 2 expression pedals. Now I want them to be expression pedal 1 and expression pedal 2. Again, assuming that I had a second expression pedal. Make sure you do that first. Okay, so for assigning this, so the way you normally want to use an expression pedal is, so first of all, you know, I could just put in a wah. I'm just going to choose whatever one because it doesn't really matter. But usually it automatically figures it out. See how the position is automatically moving up and down? If you are having trouble with that, I will show you it's the same idea as what I'm about to do. So let's remove that. Let's go ahead and remove that block. And again, that's the same thing with a volume pedal. Usually when you assign a volume pedal, it automatically figures it out. Volume pedal, you can see position up and down. But what I like to do, and this is actually how I would use it, is I like to use it kind of as a boost, and I would like to dial in my delay. So there's less delay here, and there's a lot more delay when this thing is all the way down. So let's go ahead and control that. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the block that you want to control. Again, we want to control the delay. We're going to push these 2 buttons and go to controller assign. So this means what parameter do you want to control? I would like to control the feedback and the mix. I'm going to show you both. So feedback, you can say controller, I want it to be expression pedal 1 or expression pedal 2. You can also do foot switches or MIDI, but I'm going to do expression pedal 1. And then scroll over, and what is the minimum value? When the pedal is all the way back, it's going to be at 10%. And when it's all the way up, I want it at 50%. And again, you have this learn feature, and it's waiting for you to move a switch. And once I move it, it assigns it to expression pedal 1. So you can see the feedback moves based on where I move the expression pedal. All the way back is 10%, all the way down is 50%. I can do the same thing again. I'm going to go to mix, and let's go ahead and do learn, just because that's really nice. See, now I assigned it to expression pedal 1. Minimum value, I'm just going to do the same. Well, let's do 10 and 60, just so you can see that it's different. But you can see when I move all the way down, it puts feedback to 50 and mix to 60. Move it back, it sets them both to 10. So I can control different parameters in here. So again, you don't have to use it just for wah and just for volume. You can control the parameters in the HX Stomp as well. And just FYI, the ones by Mission Engineering are supposed to be really good and pair specifically with the Helix and the HX Stomp and stuff like that. And I'll link to those down below as well. Okay, so another thing that's great about the HX Stomp is that it accepts MIDI, not just expression. So you can actually use MIDI controllers, MIDI foot switch controllers with this. So it accepts MIDI via just 5-pin MIDI here on the side, and it also accepts MIDI over USB here on the top. That's actually how I use it live when I gig with my original music, and I actually use it with audio as well. It transmits audio out, so I can run it into my computer, which runs Ableton, which is pretty awesome. Very cool little device, man. This thing is really awesome and has so many different options for it. But the first thing you want to do is you're going to have to go into your global settings again, and you're going to go to the MIDI menu right here. There's a lot of important things to set up. If you don't do this at the beginning, you're likely going to run into problems. So what is the MIDI base channel? So I have this set to MIDI channel 4. That means it's going to receive info on MIDI channel 4. So if it receives info on MIDI channel 2 or 3 or something like that, it's not going to work. Are you going to be receiving MIDI clock information? Not to receive MIDI clock information, receive it through the MIDI port, receive it through the USB port, or just automatically do it. Do you want to transmit MIDI clock from the HX Stomp to another device? If so, do you want it from out of MIDI, MIDI USB, or both? If you have your MIDI USB off, if you're trying to use it with MIDI USB, you need to turn that to on because it is set to off. So turn it on if you need it to. Are you going to receive program changes? No. Yes, just through the MIDI port. Yes, through USB, or yes, through both MIDI and USB. Are you going to transmit program changes? Both MIDI and USB, just USB, MIDI, or off. So make your decisions based on how you plan to use this. Snapshot CC Setup, I went over that. That's a bit more advanced on my global setting video. Watch that if you really want to find out about that, but I don't think most of you will need to use that. So make sure that you have all of this set up properly. Now, this is the thing that's so great about the HX Stomp. So remember how I showed you it had that learn function? Let's just do bypass assign, but going over to learn. Again, when you enable learn, it's waiting for you to push a button, and then it'll assign whatever button you've pushed, whether it's an expression pedal or, in this case, a MIDI pedal, and it will assign it accordingly. So there's 2 that I like to recommend. One is by Disaster Areas, the MIDI Baby. So they have this series as a single button, a 2-button, or a 3-button foot switch. The thing about the HX Stomp is that it's very tiny and portable. Sometimes just having a single button, it can be all you really need. And again, they have a 2 or 3-button one, and I will link that down below. However, my all-time favorite one is the Morningstar series. So they have this in a 3-button, a 6-button, or an 8-button. I got the 8-button because I needed it for my live looping. I'm just giving you different options. So just FYI, this is not a video about how to program MIDI. I have a whole nother video explaining that. If you're brand new to MIDI, you should check out that video before we start doing the MIDI programming stuff. However, I do think you'll still be able to follow along because the Helix makes it really simple actually with that learn feature. But if you do get lost, check out that video, and I think it'll definitely make more sense. So I am going to program this first just with the MIDI Baby, and I'm going to show you why. Again, I'm just going to use a standard 5-pin MIDI. This is one of my favorite things about the HX Stomp. So again, if you don't understand MIDI programming, you can get away without it sometimes. With the MC8, I'm going to have to show you here in a little bit. You do have to know how to program that, but it is pretty simple, and I will explain that. But the thing that I like about this is, say that I want it to control the tremolo, right? So again, you're going to push these 2 buttons, go to bypass assign. I'm going to go to learn. I'm going to push the button, and it says this control change number is reserved. I love that. There are some commands that the HX Stomp will automatically read, so when I push this button, it'll still work. It still turns on the tremolo, right? But it lets you know, oh, this one is already reserved, so you might run into other problems as you are programming this. Pretty cool. But if you see that message, if you see this message, you definitely should consider changing this to send out a separate control change. So this is a cool option. Again, you have 1, 2, or 3 switches as an option, and I will link to that down below. Okay, but for this video, I'm going to demo this with the MC8. This is my favorite MIDI foot switch I've ever found. You get a display. I have this set up, so here's a set for an Ableton controller. I have it set. This is my looping, so I can turn on and off the click, the ambience, undo, dub mode, stuff like that. I can save different sets for all the different things that I'm going to do. So I have this one set up as HX Stomp YouTube because that's how I figured I was going to demo this for you guys. So I'm just going to show you some of the different options in here that you can do. This isn't a video on how to program MIDI. Again, watch that video, but I will post, as I'm pushing these buttons, I'll post them on the screen while I'm editing this. So you can see up here when I push this button, snapshot, well, it's already on snapshot 1. So snapshot 3, snapshot 2, and snapshot 1. You can see the snapshots changing when I push snapshot 3, snapshot 2, and snapshot 1. So that is changing this. But this can be very valuable is that you have your snapshots here. So you can get like, a 3-button one, and then you can still have control over these, so I can turn on my drive, turn off my reverb, and turn on my delay, and then switch to snapshot 1. So I still have control over snapshots here, but I have control over individual pedals right here. That can be very, very helpful. See how much more control you get over that? Really incredible. Here's another one that I have. And again, on the screen, I will post how you need to program the Morningstar in order to get these to work. But I have this set to mode down. So you can see this is the foot switch mode. So here's snapshot mode, here's bank mode, here's preset mode, and here's foot switch mode. So I can scroll up through those or down through those. Very, very helpful, very valuable. I have this set to a tuner, so when I just push it, I don't have to hold it, just push it once and it loads the tuner. Turn it off. Again, here's the CC command in order to do that. I also have this set up so that I can switch between different presets. So let's say I mostly use 2 different presets during the show. So here's my Soldano drive, so it'll load that one. And here's my clean tremolo and delay. So I can switch between these 2, which is really great. So here's something cool. So I can also toggle to a separate page. So I have 8. Now I have 16 different buttons all in the same bank in the Morningstar. I love this thing. This thing is so cool. But now what I have is I have this set to reverb, delay, distortion, mod, pitch, EQ, compression, and filter. So what you would do for this one, in this case, you would have to do this every single preset that you do this on. But watch, what you would do is you'd go to your plate reverb. So what I'm going to do is go to bypass the sign. I'm going to turn this off so Footswitch 2 is not controlling that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll over. I'm going to hit learn. Now, this is what I have. I always want this one to turn on and off my reverb. So I'm going to push that, and now you can see it turns on and off my reverb. You can see now that it is assigned to CC100. So remember how when I used the CD baby, I almost said CD baby, the MIDI baby, it said this control change is already taken. What I found is I have these set so you're going to make your custom commands because the HX Stomp leaves room for you to program your own custom MIDI commands. So I have this one set to send CC 100, this one 101, this one 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, and 107, because those are available for me to make my custom changes on the HX Stomp. Those aren't already reserved for anything in the HX Stomp already, which is really nice. But again, now I have control to turn my reverb on and off with this one. Let's go ahead and go over to the tape delay. And again, it was set to Footswitch 3 because that's how I use it normally live, but we're going to change that. So I can either, set the MIDI in, I can set it manually. I know that I have this set to 101, or let's go ahead and just get rid of that. Hit learn. Learn is just awesome. Hit the delay button. You can see it has assigned here. Turn it on, and now it will turn it on and off. Very cool. I would do the same thing with the distortion. I would do, go over, hit learn, and hit this button, and now this button would turn it on and off. So again, you would have to do that on every single preset when you program it. Let's go to my Soldano drive, the room reverb. So again, I would go over, bypass the sign, learn. I want it to be reverb. So now it is turning it on and off with this button. So using this method, you will have to program them individually, but you see how much more control you get over your HX Stomp when you use something like this? So again, I have all these, I have 3 snapshots. I can cycle through the different foot switch modes. I can turn my tuner on and off. I can switch between 2 specific main presets that I use, and I can program individual pedals. The HX Stomp is such a cool little device. It can do so much stuff in such a small design. Really awesome. And again, I will post links links down below to all of these so you can check them out and see what based on which one is going to fit best for your setup. So those are all the ways that you can expand your HX Stomp. So let me know in the comments how you guys plan to use this information and how you guys are expanding on your HX Stomp using these methods. I'm always interested to see how other people use this. You know, not everyone's going to do the snapshot, boost, and tuner method that I have. So let me know how you're planning on using it. And like I said, I'm doing a giveaway. So one of my subscribers is going to win this, and I will send a TRS cable with it as well. So to enter, you have to, one, be a subscriber. It's only for subscribers. And two, just leave a comment down below. Say anything that you want. Any of the comments left down below for the next 5 days will be entered to win the contest. So the first 5 days after this video comes out, I will release the drawing as a story on my Instagram and on my YouTube, and I will also notify the winner in the comment section. Please do not fall for scammers, guys. The scammers really like to find their way to any video that have giveaways. That's true on any channel on YouTube. Never, ever, ever going to ask you money for these giveaways. These are a giveaway for my subscribers. So that's basically it. I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys made it to the end of the video, do me a favor, just hit the thumbs up button. It's a free way to support the channel and feed the YouTube algorithm, so I would appreciate it. You also might have noticed that my HX Stomp, I was powering it with not the traditional power supply. That's actually being used by something called the Ripcord by MyVolts. And I was actually powering the HX Stomp with this power brick. So my HX Stomp was being powered by this power brick. Pretty wild. So check out that video if you want to find out more about that. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to check out my HX Stomp and Helix playlist. I have a ton of different videos on HX Stomp and Helix, which you can check out by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Ewell Music. Mostly on Instagram. The other ones kind of suck, but I'm on there. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching. Check out some of those other videos, and I'll see you guys next time.